Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings, to the WeAreChange Sunday recap episode, where we go over important news you should know about and don't distract you with CIA propaganda about the Rocket Man or people kneeling, which of course I see as a big distraction over all the other distractions that the mainstream media pushes on you. So in this video, we will be talking about what fascism actually looks like, a former UK Prime Minister committing the worst act possible, police fighting other police officers, the war on drugs, and other things to make you critically think and inform you about what's really happening in this world that we all share together. Now, as you know, I've been doing a lot of traveling lately. I got sick, and of course, I just missed one of the biggest stories happening right now, and that is the Catalan independence movement, where police officers from the local Catalan and Barcelona police actually clashed with the National Police Force of Spain and the Civil Guard during a vote that was supposed to happen for Catalonia's independence from the Spanish government. And it wasn't just police officers clashing with police officers, it was also other firefighters from the Catalan district that got brutalized and beat by the national Spanish police, who in very large numbers swarmed the Catalan area to prevent the voting for independence from even happening. And as someone who has covered Spain's protest movements during the Indignado before even Occupy Wall Street, I could tell you that the Spanish National Guard does not play around, and they are one of the most repressive and brutal police departments out there in the world. But I think everyone's realizing that right now. And as we're talking right now, the AP is saying that over 460 people are injured right now in Catalonia. And from my experiences and knowledge, that number won't be even close to the official people who were hurt from the videos that I'm seeing online pouring in all over social media. And the crazy thing about this was done not because of people protesting, but because of people going to the voting booths, where masked men from the Spanish government and national police force came in and ripped away the ballot box and voting booths from the Catalan people who wanted to cast their votes against the Spanish government, leaving even the elderly beaten and bloodied on the streets of Barcelona today. I mean, they even went after a man and his dog, a dog who wouldn't leave the side of his owner, who was getting brutalized by the police today. Shocking images of grandmas with bloodied heads, masked men taking away people, detaining hundreds, with the pure brute force of government repression. And as the chaos ensues in Barcelona, in Madrid, the capital of Spain, people are singing the fascist anthem and giving the fascist salute in city town halls right now as we're speaking. Google has lent their support to the Spanish government by censoring voting location apps. US President Donald Trump and other world leaders have put their support behind the Spanish government, which not so long ago was an actual fascist regime. And historically speaking, the tensions between the Spanish government and the Catalonia people have been going on for a very long time, with the Spanish government being especially repressive for decades now against the Catalan people. And the tension between the Catalan and Spanish government hasn't been higher ever since the fall of Franco's military dictatorship in the 1970s. And the real main issues boiling down here are not only historical or not only out of respect that the Catalan people want, but also economic reasons. The Catalan government says that they pay $11.8 billion to the Spanish tax authorities, money of which that they say does not go back to Catalonia. The Spanish government is saying that the number is more complex and that there isn't an official number of the tax dollars that the Spanish government takes away from Catalonia. And the Spanish government is saying that the Catalonian government is violating people's voting rights and privacies, and that this vote and referendum is, quote, illegal. But knowing anything about mass movements and protests and ideas, the more that you try to repress them, the more popular they become. And right now, the Catalan independence movement is stronger than ever. I definitely see more international support of the Catalan people now, and this only being the beginning of conflict between the Spanish government and the Catalan people, which of course we will be keeping a close eye on here on this YouTube channel. And for frick's sakes, I hopefully won't get sick, and I will be able to be there on the ground next time. And it's not just the Catalan people who want independence, it's also the Kurds who are located inside of the Middle East, more specifically Iraq, who want their independence, which I think is a very important story since a lot of international players are actually involved in this Kurdistan independence movement that we're not really hearing much about in the US mainstream media. And just a few days ago, on September 25th, the Kurdistan region held a referendum on independence with a majority of 92.7 people voting in favor from seceding from the rest of Iraq as a newly established state, which gained support from many neoconservative House of Representatives, members of the United States government, including John McCain himself, who...
John McCain made a secret trip to Syria last week.
And you know, wherever John McCain goes secretly, you know something's afoot there, as him and other neoconservative idealists, like the Prime Minister of Israel, President Benjamin Netanyahu, have fully supported the Kurdish independence movement, which, if actually happened, would create a better geopolitical situation for the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Israel, and of course counter Iraq, Iran, and Turkey, which have been at odds with those countries. And that's why Israel supported the Kurdish independence movement, which even the president of Turkey, Erdogan, claimed that Mossad supposedly interfered in their independence vote a few days ago, which of course Israel denied. And this is an important story to me because it could lead to another potential conflict within the Middle East, which is already riddled with conflict. Of course, sectarian violence and conflicts among different Muslim sects and religions that have made the Middle East the destroyed place that it is right now. And that's why Hezbollah's leader, who are connected to the Iranian government, are saying that this could lead to an internal war, which it hasn't so far, but the internal implications are very grand. Iraq, of course, does not want Kurdish independence because it would take away a very oil-rich area. And as we're speaking, just as of yesterday, they are staging for civil war as the Iraqi government issued the Kurdish government an ultimatum to hand over their airports and control of their borders, or will issue an air embargo on the Kurdish region, threatening civilian air traffic. Of course, this has sparked a closer alliance between Iraq and Iran, which are now going to be conducting a joint military exercise, which is going to be a show of force against the Kurds. The Iraqi parliament authorized the Prime Minister of Iraq to deploy troops into the Kurdistan-controlled areas, and we're looking at a succession that could lead to a more violent result than what we're seeing in Spain right now. Also, interestingly enough, Partisan Girl, who is very critical against the Kurds, just had her Facebook account deleted. There's also alleged video from ISIS members saying that they are forbidden to attack the Kurds inside of Syria and Iraq, which would make sense, but can't really be corroborated other than this ISIS prisoner's confession. But that's a whole nother issue that we will get into future WeAreChange videos. But most importantly, what do you think about the Kurdish independence movement? Are you for it or are you against it? What do you think about this matter? I'm looking forward to your comments in the section of this video. And most importantly, an opportunity to learn from you. And now moving forward with more shocking and disturbing news. Today we are finding out that the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Sir Edward Richard George Heath, according to a police report, abused 42 children, boys as young as 11, after an official investigation by the police which reported on the person who was head of the United Kingdom as a pedophile. Now, this should be shocking news that someone in such a high level of government could commit such atrocious, horrible acts and then never face justice for it. Ted Heath has already passed away, and he will never face any judicial system for the horrible crimes that he has committed, including the lives that he has damaged. And it should be shocking to everyone the high-level numbers of pedophiles within governments, like Anthony Weiner, who was just sentenced to 21 months in prison after sexually courting a 15-year-old girl on Skype and Snapchat. And the story becomes more disturbing when you learn about the complicities of the media and entertainment industry, which, just like we saw with the BBC covering up the Jimmy Savile pedophile scandal, we're now seeing the New York Times saying in an op-ed why they, quote, admire Anthony Weiner. I'm at a loss for words many times doing this job, but I I don't get this. And I think it's very clear politicians should never be trusted. Ever. Because mainly, they're evil people only looking out for their best interest and do really creepy dark magic, occult stuff, especially when you go into the higher echelons of any kind of authority. And once people become addicted to power, they'll do anything to keep it and expand it, as we're seeing from our next story, where we're learning that the Trump administration is now ordering Facebook to hand over private information on anti-Trump activists, as the Department of Justice is demanding Facebook hand over the personal information of potentially 6,000 of its users to the US government. And now if Facebook complies with the DOJ, which they most likely will, it will mean the federal government will have access to the personal data, including private messages of nearly 6,000 users who simply liked the Disrupt J20 page. A huge overreach of power that would send Trump supporters running for the hills if Hillary Clinton did this. I mean, imagine if Hillary Clinton was doing this to Trump supporters. And I don't like any government authority, and I think we should all agree that this is an overstep of power. It's critically important for Trump supporters to raise the alarms for this, to let know that Trump's base is not okay with this, because in the next election, if a Democrat comes in, they will also have the same power and authority over you. And this is the same government that it was just revealed days ago ruined the lives of 249 lives because of marijuana and cannabis use. Every 48 seconds, the government busts down somebody's door or arrests somebody for simply using a plant. That, of course, either makes you sleepy, eat a lot of food, or laugh a lot. Something I don't personally partake in, but I believe in the freedom of others to partake in, especially with cigarettes and alcohol being legal. And the prohibition that is being run by the police state, by the prison industrial complex, by the pharmaceutical industry, looked ridiculous back then, and it is ridiculous now and needs to end. And people need to realize, just because your person is in office doesn't mean you should still support the expansion of that office, because that office will soon turn against you. And you have to understand, as an American, the government interests are not your interests. As U.S. Senator Chris Murphy said, it's worth asking why we spend $600 billion a year on the military if we can't get more than 500 troops and 50 helicopters to Puerto Rico. That should make you think, just for a little bit, about where the interests really lie. Okay, moving on. Now, actually, some good news. Monsanto has just been banned from the European Parliament, as they have restricted parliamentary access to Monsanto after allegations that it unduly influenced studies into the safety into many commonly used pesticides. Now sure, the Europeans are weird, but they actually did a good thing here, since we know the power of Monsanto lobbyists and scientists that have underhandedly allowed the mass corporation to become one of the largest food suppliers of this world, and also some of the very people that set policy, since a lot of the American FDA directors were also former Monsanto executives. And now that lobbying is stopped in the European Union, and they won't be able to buy government like they always did before. So yeah, that is the news here for you today. And remember, it is only ignorance that is allowing society to be acceptable the way it is right now. And it is the stopping of this ignorance, educating yourself, empowering yourself, understanding what's really happening in this world, and changing your decisions that will really make an impact on this world. That's truly what I believe deep down, and that's why I do this every single day. So stay tuned, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and if you want to see us grow and expand, support us on WeAreChange.org/donate, because unlike the horse stream media prostitutes, we don't have any corporations or governments dictating what we could say and do, because we are supported by you and you only. I love you guys. Thank you so much for allowing me to have this incredible opportunity. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/WeAreChange.